Hello, friends. I have a great show for you today. I am super excited to have Annie Gaudreault with me. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, I met Annie a couple of years ago. She is a women's health coach, she is a speaker, and she is an inspiration. And so, Annie, first of all, just thank you so much for being on the show today.
I think this is going to be a great conversation, Elisa.
It is let me tell you, audience, we are diving into first women's health, focusing primarily on menopause and perimenopause. If you know, you know, you know, that's the big kicker. And then we're also going to dive into how to grow your business, no matter what your business is. And so, Annie, first of all, before we get started, give everyone just a little bit of background about your journey and who you help.
Yes, so I actually used to be a brand consultant, and I served people that were working for Fortune 500 companies in launching food products and a lot of alcohol, beverage, and so on. And I had always been, Lisa, these people that they say are these like little weekend warrior, right? They were the people
Yes.
who on the weekend, you're like, I'm going to go run 40 kilometers and just a little kind of unhinged. So that was me. And I always thought, wouldn't it be great if? And I know a lot of people think that way, right? We're in one career, one path, one job, and then you're like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing? So that was me. And I was always thinking, how could I earn money doing this?
Yes.
Because I love all things health and wellness, all things, health and fitness. And obviously it's a really, really, really big world, but mine was endurance athleticism, marathoning. And I had a little bit of a taste of it. I became a marathon coach for the average woman. That's how we used to say, right? We will take you from the couch to the finish line, literally, because we were focusing on women who had never done anything like that. And that was my first taste of coaching and seeing the power of transformation.
Oh.
Because let me tell you, it was not a sorry, I just slammed the laptop here.
We're getting excited here.
Exactly. This is me talking with my hands. I'm going to calm it down a little bit. But we, it was never really about the marathon in the end. It was about what happened when you set your mind to doing something like that and accomplishing it, and how it became this catalyst for change for people and empowerment. And it was, for me, I was like, I want more of this in my life. So I went back to school and became a nutritionist because I felt like that was a good fit with what I was doing. And honestly, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. But while I was in school, what I discovered is, because I was with a class of 20-year-olds, and here I was, the old girl at 40, right, 41, and they really didn't care about older women.
Oh,
right? They cared about fertility, pediatrics, and those are all good things, right? I'm not saying they're not good things, but nobody cared about what was happening with women that are 40, 50, 60-year-old. And it was interesting because during that time, what I was starting to observe is that my friends who were in their 40s, the wheels were starting to fall off. Like people started to have diabetes, autoimmune diseases, even somebody had cancer, right? We were like all devastated. How could this be? She's so healthy. So what I realized, and we're not even touching perimenopause then, because we had no idea what that was. I was like, okay, I think that women at this middle age need me. So that was the beginning of my journey.
Yeah. And Annie, I think about, I'm in my 40s, my friends, we're all, in our 40s. And I do feel like this is the time we really need to be, we should be investing in our health all the time. But now especially, and, when I think about professionals in general, how do you see that these kinds of transformations impact their everyday life in the workplace, in their business, with their relationships?
Yeah, this is huge. This is huge because think about it, right? Women have the brunt of the responsibilities, often at home, right? Not saying it's right or wrong, it just is. So we have a lot of pressure outside of the home if we have a career, and now is children that demand our energy, and you also have the social calendar to manage and the domestic chores and this and that, and just like it never ends. And you are always the last thing, right? It's always like, if I have time, maybe I'll go for a walk. If I have time, I'll do a little meditation. If I have time, I'm going to journal. I'm going to do some spiritual work, right? If. And of course, there's never time for you, right? There's
Yeah.
always some stuff to do. Let's be real. Like,
Uh-huh.
so it impacts your relationship. It is not a surprise to me that couples, that midlife is the big time for separation, divorces, the failure of relationships, because I think that it just comes at a, there's just too much pressure. And then it's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, right? So neglecting our health comes at a great cost.
Mhm.
Great cost.
Yeah. And it's sad to me. I've been guilty of it. I know so many people have been guilty of it. It does come at such a great cost, and there's so many benefits, but we tend to put our own health on the back burner.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we make sure our kids are healthy, but we're not making sure we're healthy.
Yes.
And so it breaks my heart sometimes. And so whenever you're working with someone that is just like, I don't have time, I'm doing this, I'm working this many hours every single day, what do you tell them? How do you support them through that?
I always say, if you want to be your best for your kids, then lead by example and show them what it is to be strong.
Yeah.
And that means that, and you can do things with your kids, right? I have many clients who, when they go see their kids play soccer, right, they walk around the field, right? Well, you could get some pretty good steps during a soccer game, right?
Yep.
Some will run, some will do some squats and things like that. Like it is possible to make it fit, right? And you also show to your kids, right? Like, it's not just the talk, you are walking the talk. And I think that that's an amazing gift for your children.
Absolutely. My daughter, we go every weekend, we go on, I just call them family walks, but we'll take like this sled, and my husband and I put weights on it and we pull it around the lake, and my daughter will sit on top of it and like add the extra weight while we pull. But she goes kicking and screaming most times, don't get me wrong, but I always just think in the back of my head, when she's older, I can see her really appreciating this and wanting to take her own kids if she has kids.
Absolutely. And the other thing as well is that it's going to help you manage stress better, right? The work stress, the family stress, because life is going to keep on lifing, right?
Yep.
It's never going to be like, everything is perfect, right? So when you are actually prioritizing things like your sleep and movement, you're also able to manage things so much better. And that's going to pay you back tenfold.
Yeah, 100%. I see a big difference if I don't work out. Especially if it's like for a couple of days in a row, my mental state is not good.
Oh, yeah.
It's not there. And so, Annie, I want to talk about the big M. And for me, I swear, I know we've talked about this before. I swear I'm in perimenopause. Like, I got the chin hairs going on, people. Like, hot flashes. It's happening.
Oh, yeah.
And so women who are entering this phase in their life, how can they better take care of themselves?
Well, first of all, it's to stop being in denial, right? A little bit, and because this is what happens usually, right? Because we're like, what? I'm too young for this, right? I hear this every week. I'm too young for this shit, right?
Yes.
This is and this is where it's important to be educated, because once you understand that perimenopause can be 7 to 10 years before menopause, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, everyone's journey of menopause is unique. So we can't say, oh, at least as yours is going to be the same as mine. It's all going to be different. But I think that one of the first things to realize is to be admitting what's going on. Now, I think that what's really important is to educate ourselves in terms of the multiple symptoms that, quite frankly, you think, how could this be linked to menopause?
Yeah.
Because so many things, like suddenly you have heartburn, for example, and you think it's your fault, and you think, what am I doing wrong? Right? I'm eating the same way. And you can blame perimenopause for that, right? You can, a lot of mental health conditions as well, such as depression, anxiety, quite prevalent during this time. Big mood swings. Also, when you think, oh my God, what is happening with me? Why am I so impatient? Why am I so, I had some clients who said, I'm afraid is what I'm going to be fired because I am so short tempered. I want to tell them sometimes, like, no, that's not the way to go. But, the diplomacy is just suddenly like out the window. So I think that what's important for women to realize is the incredible variety of symptoms. And, the Menopause Society, which is a great governing body that does a lot of education, they've officially recognized 34 symptoms. Pardon me, Alyssa. 34.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because menopause, I call it, it's a full contact sport, right?
It really is.
So it's not just, we talked about hot flashes, and that's kind of the poster child of the symptoms.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more than that, like joint pain, muscle aches. Like these are all very normal. Right? Some women start to have tinnitus, right? Like this ringing in the ear, right? Like I am talking completely random. And then you go to your doctor and they go, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Everything's fine. And you think you're going crazy. So I think that what's really important for anybody that is listening to us that is maybe that age or understands, and maybe somebody is close, make sure that you understand and go to the Menopause Society website, and they've got the 34 symptoms listed all there, because we don't have time to go through them right now. But you will then start to, and then when I say to these women, Alyssa, is start tracking. Track the time, track the date, and then you can have a good conversation with your GP.
Wow. And man, you're thinking like 34 symptoms, and like you said, joint pain, aches. If people before menopause weren't working out or taking care of themselves, I could see it being a lot harder to even start, because if your joints are hurting, if you're achy, if you're depressed, like all of these things, how can we push past those symptoms and just do it? Is that the answer? Is just do it?
It's a bit of a holistic approach. I like to talk about how you need to now look at movement. You need to be really careful with your diet, because your body's processing food differently now, right? It's like, okay, thank you, estrogen. Now that you're gone, things are crazy. And also the whole rest and rejuvenation. And that's going to be hard, because women are not going to put themselves first, because we think we're selfish when we do that. So when we think, hey, Saturday morning, maybe it would be good that I go out with these 3 girlfriends and we're going to go do a little hike, right? The Saturday morning, right? Oh, but, little Johnny here has this, and then little Susie has, this other activity. And, this whole socialization that it should be everybody but you, and then you should come last. Yeah. So I always say to women, like, this is your opportunity to take care of yourself, because if you don't do this, right, it is going to be like a 2x4 on the side of your head.
Oh, it goes back to what you said. It's a contact sport.
Yes, it is. Fully. Yes. Right?
Oh my gosh. So what you do, Annie, is so important. Man, when I think of as women, we need to prioritize ourselves. So many people don't do that. So your message is so powerful. And, first of all, how long have you had this business?
So I had my other business while I started this one. So I did both, right? As we start and do it all. So now it's been 6 years.
So when you started 6 years ago, especially for those that are listening that are just on this journey, what did you do to get the word out? Like, to make sure that you were getting clients, and how do you find women who are going through this? Were you just like, oh, I think you're going through menopause, you should come talk to me? How did you approach it?
I see them in line, right? And they're like, whoo. at the checkout, right, at the grocery store. And I'm like, oh, I see you. I see you.
Uh-huh.
But, it comes down to people will not find you while you're sitting on your living room couch. Right?
Yeah.
So you have to put yourself out there. And I basically, because I was doing a career shift from being, as this brand consultant now to nutritionist, I started to talk to everybody that I could, have listened to me of what I did. I would start, with my old contacts using platforms like LinkedIn, talking about what I did. I started to go to networking events, and I did them all. The great one, the terrible ones. I joined professional networking groups of women. Wherever there were women, I was like, there's got to be somebody there that fits my demographic, right? So I forced myself out of the house to just be out there every single week. And
Yes.
tell people, this is what I do. This is what I do. And then the big change was starting to speak.
Oh, tell me about that, Annie. What do you mean by starting to speak?
Yeah. So I would go to these networking events, right? But I'd just be like, here's my card, Elisa, here's my card, Mary, love to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. Right. And these were good. And I started to organize like little like webinars, things like that.
Yeah.
But I, through the coaching that I received, I saw I need to speak and I need to start to get on stages. And that was transformative. So it was anywhere where there's going to be more than one person. I was like, great, it's a group of 5, I'll speak, right? It's a group of 10, I'll speak. It's 50, amazing, right? And both physically and also online.
Yeah. That's something I tell my clients all the time, like, get out there, even going back to like, go to those networking events, even if you hate them, go and talk to people. But when you can speak on stage and really put yourself out there, it doesn't matter if you're the best in the biz. If they don't know you exist, they're not just going to come out to you.
Exactly. Yes, you will be the best kept secret, and that doesn't build a good bank account, right?
It doesn't.
You need to be out there, and it's scary, it's intimidating, it's uncomfortable. Yes, 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 yes. And then eventually it's a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah. So, okay, I don't know if you can remember like 6 years ago, your first stage, like when your very first stage, what were you kind of like going through? Were you nervous? Were you anxious? What were the ugly parts of it? And what did you learn from it?
Yeah, I would say that I definitely felt like an imposter at first because I thought I don't have a lot of experience, right? In my previous career, I had like 20 plus years of experience, right? So I was like, I've got this, right? I have lots of case studies. I can talk about many of these success stories. Yeah. But into this new field, the biggest thing for me was I don't know enough yet. Mm-hmm. I need more certification. I need to read more books. I need to, more. And actually, there was a coach that I remember, and he said, if you read 10 books on one subject, Elisa, you know more than most people on whatever subject that it was.
Yeah, so, I believe it.
And then I was like, man, I think I've got like 60 books here. Like, yeah. I'm ready. I am ready, right? Yeah. So I think that was the biggest issue, was this whole like, I don't know enough, right? And then eventually, because you still gotta do it, what happens is that people are like, oh my God, like I never knew this. Wow, can you help me? You start to realize that you know a lot more than you give yourself credit for. Mm-hmm. And you don't need to have a PhD in order to help people.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to, I felt the same way, Annie. Like there were times I was just like, why are they going to trust me? This. And then I would talk to people. And I think sometimes because we've studied something for so long and we've, been passionate about something, we take for granted that other people don't know what we know. Or we make assumptions that, you must already know this because if I know it, you must know it. But that's not the case.
No. Oh my God. You're so bang on there. Like, and this is maybe one of the learning is stop making assumptions. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just ask people. What I realize is that A, people don't know a lot. B, not only they don't know a lot, they're confused. Oh
Yes.
my God, they're so confused. So a big part of your role as a coach, whether you're, coaching people to speak like yourself and have a better presence, people are so confused between all the strategies and the tactics. And, oh, I heard this, and, I heard that I should, put my hair red so that they remember me, right? Like, there's all these, like, and I hear the stuff in health and wellness all the time, right?
Yeah.
So a big part of your role as a leader in your subject matter is to, cut through the chase and say, yes, no, right? And some categories there in science, it remains to be proven, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I say that to people. So I think that those were really big lessons, is that, yeah, don't make any assumptions, and a lot more than you think.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you have to get ready to sometimes not be great. Right? There are times you get on stage and you're like, that was a B, but that was not an A. I would not give myself an A. And then sometimes you're like, boom, that was an A. But you can only get better by practicing. You have to be willing to not be perfect.
100%, Annie. I'm so glad you said that, because that is what holds so many people back. They feel like they don't have the credibility if it's not perfect.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, guess what? You have more credibility now than the other half of the people that decided not to speak. They're going to see you as the authority on this subject. And don't let it hold you back. Don't let those fears hold you back. Do it ugly and learn from it and reflect on it.
Yeah. And it's, I've seen so many speakers being on stage, whether they were small or big, who were like, oh, I lost my train of thought here. Bear with me. And, it makes you human.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay. Oh, something fell, right? Like, this happened to me once, right? Like, I went to grab my water bottle and it just flew across the stage, right? And it was funny, and it just made me normal, right?
Yeah.
You're human, right? It's like, okay, so big deal, right? Oh, well. Right? Yeah. There was a woman actually that was an MC of a big women's conference years ago. And when she showed up on stage, she was, beautifully dressed and the whole thing. And then she opens up with the fact that she had still the security tag on the jacket, right? She was like, this is how well prepared I am, ladies, right? And it was just, everybody had a good laugh. It was hilarious. And then the show went on, right?
Yeah.
So I think that we have to remember that this is all about serving others. It's not about us being perfect, because somebody needs you.
Shift. Yes. I think that's the mindset shift so many people need to hear. It's about serving others. Yeah. It's not about you. So Annie, tell me, you have a very specific audience. How do you find speaking gigs?
Yeah. Well, this is so here's a piece of advice for anybody that, is looking for people, is that you have to look for gigs all the time. All the time. So I have in my calendar sales and speaking gig outreach, like in my calendar every week. Yeah. And I don't always feel like it, but I look through local events. So it could be Meetup, Eventbrite, things like that.
Okay.
And I will also do Google search. And then there are also some companies, right, that do provide these speaking opportunities. But I find that we are more successful by just doing ongoing searches.
Yeah.
And then just apply, follow up, apply, follow up, apply, follow up. That's the formula. And it's a rinse and repeat, because all of your materials are in a folder together. So they're like, you want a photo? Here it is. What would you speak about? Here it is. Right. And then you can customize a little bit, but you must do it consistently in order to be booked consistently. Now it gets slower. Definitely for me, I see a slowdown in the summer, Elisa. So, I'm sure that others, but it's a great time to hold your own masterclass then, right?
Yes.
Or, right? Go to your church and say, I speak about this, would it be possible to put some flyers? And, like, people will want to help you if you're a good person in your community, right? And you can just go, like, for myself, like, I reached out to a Pilates studio that was local. I reached out to a gym, but it was a little bit too many men there. And he was like, no, I don't think it's our audience. But you just, you just have to go and ask people, right? So
Yeah.
you can literally take your car and drive, right? 10-kilometer radius and hit those places that match with your audience.
Absolutely. Any two places that I have received stages from recently, one is from sales calls. So I was on a sales call and someone was like, oh my gosh, this was so wonderful. I want to invite you to my networking group. Will you come speak? Like, I just had that happen yesterday. And then
Amazing.
another one was at a conference that I attended. It was people that I was meeting at those conferences, and they were like, we would love to have you come speak. And so don't discount those either. Like,
Great idea.
really engage in conversations with people. Don't be afraid to ask for a speaking spot.
Totally. And that reminds me, one of the things I always ask other women is, what other networking group are you part of? And do you know somebody? Because I would love to talk to them about coming to speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Always have those follow-up questions. But more than likely they want to help you. And if they don't know, they don't know. But for the most part, you can really get some great speaking gigs from that as well.
Totally. Absolutely. Yes. There's a lot that is just by asking, right? It's not going to cost you anything. You have to spend the time and energy doing it, but absolutely. There's so much opportunity, and, like, speak to 5 people. That's okay. This is actually going to be good. You need the experience.
Absolutely. So Annie, I have one final question for you. And this goes into, like, if you lost hopefully none of this, but if you lost your business today, you had to start from scratch again, what would you do? What steps, 2 or 3 suggestions that you would have for the audience for starting over, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I would get on the speaking thing right away. I would not wait. I wouldn't wait to have a website. I would make sure maybe my LinkedIn profile is up, but that's free.
Yeah.
And you can have all those accounts for free: Facebook, Instagram. I would definitely get on the speaking circuit right off the bat, and I would use the platforms to educate, right? To add value, right? To show that I know what I'm talking about, right? So if I came back as a dog trainer, right, I'd be like all about the breeds, and here are 5 tips, and here are the 5 mistakes that people make. And, oh, your dog is misbehaving, here's a great solution. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing a little dog training session, next week at 5:00. Right. So I think that I would not be waiting to have this all figured out. I'd be like, let me just jump right in. Messy and all, but don't wait. I think that I waited, and it cost me, the growth of my business.
Yeah. So you hear it, audience. You hear it. Like, if you are someone who is just starting out, or maybe you're looking to revamp your business. I mean, Annie is this very successful business owner. She's been doing some amazing work. And she even says, get on the speaking circuit. That's going to help grow your business. So Annie, I do know you have a free gift for the audience today. Tell us a little bit about it. What do we have?
Yes. So this is a little guide that I developed, because one of the biggest symptoms of going back to perimenopause and menopause is women, gaining weight, and suddenly, right? And they're very frustrated, and totally understandable. So I have a little guide that will show women how to lose 10 pounds without a painful diet. 5 very simple principles, right?
Sign me up.
Don't need to buy supplements and all this crazy stuff. right? And
Okay.
I'm all science based, so that's going to be the guide that we provide for people. And I know that you have the link for that. It's going to be in the show notes, right?
Yes. I'm
Yay!
going to drop it in the show notes, guys. You need to get this guide. I'm going to go get it because you just say like drop 10 pounds without the headache of, oh my gosh. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So thank you, Annie, so much for joining us. Tell our audience, where can they follow you on? Which platforms?
Yeah, Instagram, right? And Aviv underscore wellness. So that's
Okay.
VEEV, just like you see on the my title here. And there's lots of information there. I do inspiration things, I do strategies, tips, debunk stuff because there's a lot of crazy stuff also going out there. So anybody that is looking for support and inspiration and midlife, come and follow.
Perfect. So follow Annie. All of this information or contact information, all of it's in the show notes. And again, Annie, thank you so much for joining the show. I so appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Elisa. It's been wonderful to chat with you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.